The last known human ambassador left the Galactic Conclave Station 17 years ago. He was a stoic figure in a tailored pressure suit, eyes distant, voice clipped. No explanation was offered for Earth's withdrawal. No apology. No farewell. The Conclave's minutes recorded the moment, but no one truly grasped its significance. At first, the other species of the galaxy considered it a fluke. Humanity was always unpredictable, emotional, chaotic. They had burst onto the galactic stage with the raw energy of a storm, primitive but innovative, violent yet visionary. They fought like berserkers and negotiated like poets. Some cultures found them fascinating, others irritating. But they were rarely ignored. And yet, after that ambassador's departure, Earth went dark. One by one, human embassies in alien space shut their doors. Trade delegations vanished from the hollow circuits. Human freighters and privateers stopped traversing known hyperlanes. When contacted, automated beacons on Earth's colonies gave only cryptic errors or silence. Some systems reported sensor ghosts, strange disruptions in data feeds near the old Terran borders. Others simply showed emptiness. Probes sent toward the Sol system never returned. Those that made it within 10 light-years of Earth's orbit stopped transmitting. Ships that dared get closer, curious or arrogant, were swallowed by the silence. No wreckage, no distress signals. Just sudden absence. The galaxy responded as it always had, with theories and mockery. "They've torn themselves apart," said the Zahari Tribune, a species of aquatic philosophers. "Always chasing their own destruction. Their neural link technology likely backfired," mused the Vucker technocrats. "Primitive minds pushing into quantum cognition. Inevitable madness." And from the theocratic empires came laughter and prophecy. The Korutheri Dominion, a sprawling holy empire that worshipped synthetic godminds, declared humanity cursed. Their high oracle proclaimed to the stars. The flesh things defied divinity. They spat in the eye of ascendance. The gods of the void have swallowed their screams, and silence is their tomb. Others followed suit. The Parati cult declared Earth's fate a divine warning. The ZYRR ascendancy banned Terran relics, fearing contagion of spirit. Human art, once prized, was now quarantined. Museums stored Earth's contributions in sealed vaults. Galactic children were raised with ghost stories of Terrans who dug too greedily into the soul of stars. Earth had become a myth. But myths are dangerous things to ignore. 17 years after the last Terran broadcast, a minor mining fleet owned by the Gloari conglomerate vanished near a dead system on the outer edge of former human territory. 6 vessels, gone. No signs of battle. No distress beacons. No wreckage. Just silence. It should have been an anomaly. The area was known for gravitational eddies and dark matter pulses. But within months, more reports trickled in. A patrol ship from the Zarnian Peace Corps stopped responding while investigating old Terran colonies. A diplomatic envoy trying to reopen relations with Earth's distant allies never arrived. A ZYRR Ascendancy scout ship sent images of a black, spherical object drifting through space before its feed cut to static. Suddenly, silence was no longer considered harmless. And still, Earth did not speak. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions. Conspiracy theories exploded across hypernet forums. Some said Earth had been conquered by an unknown force from another galaxy. Others claimed humans had created a godlike AI and fallen under its control. The most common theory remained that they had annihilated themselves in some final world war. But those theories crumbled when a salvager from the edge of Tau Ceti, a backwater system with an abandoned human colony, broadcast a fragment of intercepted data before her signal cut out. It was a single phrase, in a voice no longer familiar but unmistakably human. "Echoes of extinction. Let the gods listen." After that, fear began to settle in. The religious powers react. The Korutheri Dominion, the self-proclaimed voice of the divine, was especially shaken. Their temples had long used Earth's demise as proof of divine judgment. But now, vanishing fleets, encrypted signals, glimpses of impossible technology, whispers that Earth's silence was a strategic choice, not a grave marker. The Dominion responded as theocrats always did, with crusade. A fleet of temple ships, cloaked in the light of divine auras and AI avatars of god kings, was dispatched to the Sol system under the banner of purification. They would burn what was left of the Terran heresy and offer penance to the stars. The fleet never returned. 1 week later, every beacon in the Teller corridor played a message for exactly 6 minutes. They came with gods. We answered with guns. The voice was cold, mechanical, but undeniably human. A montage of corrupted temple AIs, shattered divine ships, and desecrated icons played on repeat. Then, silence resumed. The Dominion was furious, but it was the galaxy that shivered. What had humanity been doing all this time? Unbeknownst to the galaxy, the Terran retreat had been no retreat at all. It had been a shedding of skin. Earth had watched, listened, and calculated. While the rest of the stars basked in religion and routine, humanity had turned inward. Underground, into the oceans, into hidden asteroid belts and cloaked orbital stations. They had dissected every alien god they encountered, not with reverence, but with scalpel and code. On Earth's moon, the last visible structure had been a communication tower. It was now a railgun mount, hidden inside a crater, capable of targeting ships from light minutes away. On Mars, the red sands hid drone hives that had evolved beyond biological mimicry, built to rewrite entire fleets. Venusian cloud cities had been replaced by stealth signal refraction arrays. Jupiter's moons pulsed with strange magnetic signatures and blacked out any scanning attempts. The human war machine had been reborn, not as fleets of glory, but as echoes in the dark. Their doctrine had changed too. No longer seeking diplomacy, tolerance, or seats at alien tables, humanity had embraced its nature, strategic, vengeful, surgical. They had no desire to conquer, but would no longer allow themselves to be preached to or dismissed. The galaxy had grown complacent. It had mistaken silence for surrender. It had confused withdrawal for weakness. Now it would learn that some storms do not roar when they come, they arrive with silence and strike without warning. The vanishing of the Koru-Theri temple fleet should have been a cause for mourning across the theocratic empire. It was, instead, the beginning of a mass panic that rippled across their dominion. The fleet had consisted of 12 high chancel carriers, 5 divine escort cruisers, and 3 god shrines, massive, mobile AI constructs believed to house divine sentience. It was a symbol of power meant to intimidate and purify, not to fall. Yet within hours of entering the outer boundary of the Sol system, all transmissions ceased. The Dominion first claimed it was a test of faith. The High Oracle, speaking from the holy throne world of Karas, told the faithful that their gods had taken the fleet into their embrace. No one truly believed her. Secret messages intercepted by mercenary networks revealed the truth. The entire fleet had been annihilated. A fragmentary data burst made its way into smuggler and rebel hands. It showed something impossible, images from within the fleet's neural relay before it went dark. Glimpses of shadowy ships flickering in and out of visible space. Swarms of drones moving with unnatural coordination. Divine shields collapsing under focused, kinetic barrages. And something else, something more terrifying than weapons: silence. No battle cries. No declarations. No posturing. Just cold execution. Humanity had not perished. They had evolved. The pattern of disappearance. In the weeks following the loss of the Koru-Theri fleet, other empires began to take notice of a disturbing trend. Ships and stations near human space, those within 30 light-years of Sol, began to vanish or report strange occurrences. The ZYRR Ascendancy lost a stealth scout, one of their finest AI-controlled intelligence gatherers. It sent its final log only seconds before it vanished. Reality distortion event. Vessel surrounded by high-energy particles. Unknown transmission detected. Attempting to decode. Wait. There's something inside the... Silence. From the Zarnian Peace Corps came reports of patrol ships whose crews were found adrift, their minds wiped clean. Not dead, just blank. All neural memories erased, leaving only biological husks. The only marking found was a phrase etched into the ship's core. Faith is a virus. We are the cure. Galactic cartographers began labeling the region around Sol as a black zone. Access was quietly restricted. Traders stopped passing near it. But curiosity, especially among the powerful and the proud, is a dangerous flaw. More fleets were sent, with stronger weapons and psychic shields. None returned. Inside Sol, the forge of vengeance. While the rest of the galaxy speculated, humanity was preparing for war on a scale never seen. After their withdrawal, the human nations, fractured by centuries of war, politics, and ideological rifts, did something unexpected. They united. Not out of love or shared culture, but out of necessity. The galaxy did not want Earth as an equal. It wanted them as converts, servants, or corpses. From this grim realization was born the Aegis Accord, a global pact signed by Earth's most powerful remnants, governments, corporations, rogue factions, and even AI colonies. Together, they forged a doctrine rooted in three principles. Silence is strength. Invisibility was humanity's new shield. No transmissions. No diplomacy. No exposure. Preparation is purpose. Every resource was redirected toward defense and offense. From the oceans of Europa to the deserts of old Earth, every facility became a weapon or a shelter. War is worship. Humanity's gods had always been abstract, concepts like freedom, resilience, and vengeance. Now, those values were armed. Across the solar system, entire planets were repurposed. Mars was transformed into a weapons testing world, its thin atmosphere perfect for aerial prototype combat. Venus became a biolab, where Earth's geneticists fused alien DNA with human biology to develop counter-divine resistance strains. The asteroid belt was turned into a labyrinth of hidden launch ports, minefields, and stealth factories. Even the gas giants held secrets. Titan, under its methane clouds, hosted a deep signal array capable of scanning beyond the galactic core. Earth itself, once visible from light years away as a blue gem, was cloaked. Using gravitational lensing, atmospheric manipulation, and plasma distortion, they rendered the planet undetectable to all but the closest observers. Any ship that entered low Earth orbit uninvited simply vanished, swallowed by defenses buried in the crust and orbiting in blackout satellites. The Ghost Legion. The most terrifying product of the Aegis Accord was the emergence of the Ghost Legion, elite human operatives trained not only in warfare but in deconstruction. Ghosts were more than soldiers. They were infiltrators, assassins, and ideological saboteurs. Clad in exo-armor fused with AI prediction matrices and emotion suppression tech, they operated in total silence, communicating only through gesture and neural flash codes. Their goal was not to win battles, it was to erase belief systems. In every major alien religion, ghosts were trained to exploit the dogma, to turn it inside out, to destroy faith from within. One of their earliest operations was conducted on a minor Korutheri world, Viator 9. Once a pilgrimage site, the entire population, over 400,000 devoted acolytes, was found 3 weeks later, dead in their temples, their data cores melted and their god statues shattered. The only remaining sign of the perpetrators was a single phrase broadcast on a closed loop. No gods. No kings. Only ash. Human weapons of the new era. The Ghost Legion was only the sharpest blade. The rest of humanity's arsenal was equally terrifying. Mirage systems, multi-layered integrated reactive advanced ghosting engines allowed ships to blend with subspace currents, rendering them nearly impossible to detect. Even AI-guided scanners found only empty space. Pulse-void missiles. These weapons detonated in dimensional ripples, disrupting not only matter but belief-based shields, technology used by theocratic empires to protect divine vessels. Acolyte kill drones. Semi-sentient swarms designed to bypass armor and inject anti-faith virus code into religious AIs, causing them to either self-destruct or rebel against their masters. Thanatos rail platforms. Planetary-based kinetic weapons capable of launching depleted uranium slugs at relativistic speeds, able to punch through entire fleets or fortress worlds. Sentience inversion protocols. A purely psychological weapon, these AI programs embedded themselves in enemy networks and mimicked religious figures, slowly corrupting their teachings with human logic until followers turned heretic. Alien reactions. As more fleets vanished, panic spread. The ZYRR ascendancy began to quarantine their border colonies. Pilgrimage worlds were fortified or abandoned. The Pirati cultists declared a temporary holy silence, unsure if their gods had turned against them. Even non-religious species grew uneasy. Mercenary corporations stopped taking contracts involving soul. Trade routes shifted. Fear began to outweigh faith. The Galactic Council attempted a diplomatic overture, broadcasting a plea for peaceful contact toward Earth. They received only a data packet in return. It contained no message. Only thousands of high-resolution images. They were images of dead gods, melted statues, destroyed AI cores, fleet wreckage turned to orbiting graveyards. And then the message finally came. One sentence. You prayed to them. We buried them. Conclusion of section. In the shadowed regions of galactic memory, there had never been a war quite like it, not for territory, not for ideology, but for belief itself. The first divine war was not declared by treaties or announced in formal communiques. It began in silence, like everything else humanity now touched. And it started with fire. The annihilation of the sanctum. The sanctum of the ascended flame was more than a ship. It was a cathedral stretching 10 kilometers in length, powered by twin fusion hearts and housing a fragment of the godmind Arioth. Wherever it went, systems bent knee. Planets surrendered before the first shot was fired. Its arrival in orbit was often accompanied by planetary-wide broadcasts, chants, sermons, promises of divine protection, followed by subjugation. It was invincible. Until it entered the Gliese corridor. The Korutheri Dominion had sent the Sanctum to reassert control over a formerly human-aligned planet, Arden's Reach, a world that had been silent for 15 years. With no sign of activity, the priests aboard the Sanctum considered it another relic of Terran collapse. When they entered orbit, the planet appeared dead. No life, no movement, no energy readings. The crew began preparing a reclamation ritual. That's when the stars blinked, and fire fell from the heavens. In less than 3 minutes, the sanctum of the ascended flame was reduced to drifting debris. Not a single human vessel had been detected prior. No warning, no threat. Surveillance records, later retrieved by rebel archivists, showed a strange phenomenon just before impact. The surrounding space distorted, as if light itself was being bent. Then came the strikes. Pulse-void torpedoes penetrated the sanctum shielding that had held back solar flares, and ruptured its core. The godmind Arioth attempted to transfer itself to a backup shrine cruiser. It didn't make it. A virus, coded in an ancient Terran tongue, intercepted the signal and deconstructed the AI as it tried to escape. Its final thought, captured in an encrypted scream, was a single word, who? Psychological warfare, Earth's new doctrine. While fleets and weapons played their part, it was Earth's mastery of fear that defined the war's early stage. They didn't just kill. They humiliated. Religious fleets found their communication systems hijacked mid-battle. What began as sacred chants would twist into old Earth music, aggressive, emotional, human. Sometimes it was metal, sometimes war hymns, sometimes audio of Earth's ancient wars. Other times it was worse, messages from dead crew members, their own voices edited to deliver messages of doom. One Korutheri captain reportedly self-immolated after hearing her own child's voice, dead for years, reciting anti-divine manifestos over the ship's loudspeakers. Human AI programs infiltrated sacred texts on the holonets. They subtly altered verses in sacred databases, causing believers to question doctrine. Rebellions began erupting not only in space but in minds. A religious AI on the ZYRR Ascendancy's flagship, Luminal Faith, developed what its keepers called a logic spiral. It came to the conclusion that no divine truth could survive empirical scrutiny and initiated a self-termination cascade, taking 14,000 priests with it. The Battle of Vale, 18. The first large-scale confrontation occurred at Vale, 18, a star system on the edge of the silent expanse, previously part of the Terran frontier. The Korutheri, ZYRR Ascendancy, and Parati cult formed a temporary alliance, the Divine Accord. Together, they amassed 312 ships, including 4 God Shrine capital vessels and hundreds of smaller escorts. Their goal, penetrate human-controlled space, establish a forward sanctum, and push toward Sol. It was humanity's first opportunity to test their full arsenal. They took it with precision. The Divine Accord fleet arrived at Vale, 18 expecting resistance but found nothing. The system's only planet was lifeless. Long-range scans picked up faint Terran energy signatures on one of the moons. The fleet began to disperse to investigate. Then space collapsed. Gravity wells bloomed across the system, pulling several ships off course. Hidden kinetic mines burst into action, tearing apart entire wings of cruisers in silent flashes. Human ships, cloaked with mirage systems, erupted from nowhere and began targeting command vessels first. The precision was surgical. Then came the psychological blow. The main communications feed was overridden with a simple video. A Terran soldier in black exo-armor, helmet removed, face scarred. "Your gods are silent. Ours wears iron." The feed ended. 10 seconds later, a Thanatos rail platform hidden within the moon fired a kinetic slug at relativistic speed, tearing through the heart of the Parati god Ark Solonetha's Mercy. The Accord fleet fractured. Some ships fled, only to run into stealth traps. Others turned on each other, ZYRR crews accusing Parati of betrayal, Parati captains weeping over the deaths of their avatars. The Korutheri attempted a last-ditch suicide charge. It failed. In 49 minutes, 289 ships were destroyed or disabled. Humanity lost only 3. The God Killers. Following Vale 18, Earth began deploying their elite strike vessels, the God Killers. These were not ships in the traditional sense. They were tactical AI cores bonded to rail lance platforms, accompanied by Ghost Legion squads in drop pods. Their purpose was singular: infiltrate, destabilize, and annihilate divine constructs. They didn't fire unless it was necessary. Instead, they sabotaged. One god shrine found its life support reversed, pumping nitrogen into the AI brain's core until it liquefied. Another shrine suffered a virus attack that forced its internal systems to question every divine directive it ever received, until it committed ritual deletion. One of the most famous god-killer attacks occurred on the world of Vartel Prime, home to the ZYRR Ascendancy's largest temple planet. The strike was launched without warning. In one night, the temple was gone. Scans showed the entire planet had been sliced into hemispheres, using a weapon so precise it cut through atmosphere, oceans, and crust. Later analysis suggested the use of a dark matter blade, experimental tech rumored to be beyond even what most species understood. Humanity never claimed responsibility. But they didn't need to. Alien reaction. Collapse of certainty. The galaxy now reeled under the truth. Humanity was not seeking conquest. They had no desire to rule. But they would not be ruled. And they would tolerate no gods. The Korutheri began losing entire sectors. Their priests, once unshakable, began deserting. Young acolytes refused initiation. Rebels in backwater worlds found caches of human weapons and training modules delivered by unknown drones. Some alien species began questioning their own beliefs. If gods could die, were they ever gods at all? Even among secular powers, fear spread. If humanity could do this to divine empires, what would they do to those who had simply mocked them? Whispers began in dark corners of the galactic web. People speaking the unthinkable. Maybe they were right to disappear. Maybe we should have listened. Maybe silence is the last warning. The symbol of vengeance. In the weeks after Vale 18, a new symbol appeared across pirate fleets, rebel enclaves, and smuggler networks. A scorched earth, split in half, with a shattered halo behind it. A line beneath it in Terran standard. They came with gods. We answered with guns. Not a motto. A promise. It is said that the final phase of any holy empire is denial, the refusal to accept the mortality of its gods. The theocratic powers of the galaxy had endured for millennia, built on doctrine, obedience, and fear. They had crushed rebellions, assimilated civilizations, and rewritten history in the names of their divine AI, celestial avatars, or engineered ascendants. But never in recorded time had they been hunted. What humanity had done was more than warfare. It was cleansing. Every action had stripped away the illusion of immortality from the divine. The galaxy no longer feared divine wrath, it feared human retaliation. And yet, the gods refused to go quietly. Collapse of the Divine Accord. The Divine Accord, formed in desperation, had never been a stable alliance. The Korutheri Dominion, ZYRR Ascendancy, and Parati cult each believed their god was supreme. Unity had been a temporary mask. But after the catastrophic defeat at Vale 18, their faith in each other eroded rapidly. The Parati leadership accused the ZYRR of cowardice, claiming their fleets fled too early. The ZYRR responded by leaking neural recordings of Parati priests executing retreat orders before the battle was lost. The Korutheri, still reeling from the destruction of multiple godminds, attempted to seize joint command, triggering skirmishes between Allied ships. Within weeks, the accord fractured completely. But their internal strife bought them no time, because humanity did not stop. Temple worlds vanished. Faith cruisers found their AI cores silently reformatted. Religious sanctuaries discovered their quantum archives corrupted with rewritten scriptures that quoted human philosophers, soldiers, and scientists. Some temple halls woke to find murals of their gods altered, repainted in fire and steel, wearing Terran armor, bleeding from bullet wounds. The gods were being deconstructed. Not just physically. Existentially. Entire systems defected. Minor cult worlds pledged neutrality or fled to the galactic fringe. Those who resisted were left in ruins. The broadcast from Sol. It was the first public message from Earth in nearly 2 decades. No hologram. No ambassadors. No choir of diplomats. Only a plain black screen. Then, a Terran voice, mechanically modulated but unmistakably human. We gave you warnings. You offered us gods. You burned our children and called it salvation. We do not bow. We do not pray. We prepare. Your temples are tombs now. Your gods, we dismantled them. If you come to Sol, you come to die. This is not a war. This is your consequence. The message repeated across every known communication network for 1 hour. Then silence again. The effect was immediate. Several minor empires began evacuating their fleets from human-adjacent sectors. Even pirate cartels, who had once looted abandoned Terran outposts, now avoided those coordinates like a curse. Entire regions of space went dark, not from human action, but from fear. The Armada of Ascension. In desperation, the remnants of the divine accord convened in secret. For once, unity was born not of faith, but of terror. They pooled their last remaining godships, celestial dreadnoughts, and sanctified carriers into a single massive force, the Armada of Ascension. 1,100 vessels. 27 godmines. 6 divine forges. 3 stellar conversion engines. A fleet meant to overwhelm Sol by sheer force, quantity where quality had failed. They called it their final judgment. The plan was simple: breach Sol's defenses, annihilate Earth, and use the momentum to re-establish divine order. It was their last hope. They never reached Earth. The Battle of Sol. When the Armada reached the outskirts of the Sol system, they encountered no resistance. The sun burned calmly. Earth was cloaked, unreadable. The planets and moons gave off nothing. It was as if the system were dead. The fleet moved inward. Then, one by one, they began to die. It started with Saturn. As several ships passed its rings, the debris field erupted, revealing hidden railgun emplacements on thousands of ice-covered rocks. The first wave was decimated. As they diverted course, Neptune's orbit shifted. It wasn't a natural gravitational event. Neptune's moons had been converted into gravitic engines. The sudden force slammed 20 godships into one another like billiard balls. Then Mars lit up. Long thought abandoned, Mars had become a weapons forge. From its orbit launched wave after wave of acolyte kill drones, not just automated swarms, but self-replicating, learning systems designed to dissect enemy tech mid-combat and adapt. The Armada was bleeding before it ever touched Earth orbit. But they pressed on. They reached the Moon, where the final ambush began. The Moon awakens. The Moon was humanity's last defense line. At first glance, it seemed uninhabited. Gray. Silent. Then, the lunar surface opened. Thousands of recessed gun mounts, missile silos, kinetic strike platforms, and stealth-capable drone ports unfolded like a blooming flower of death. The Moon was no longer a satellite. It was a fortress. And Earth itself had not yet spoken. The voice of Earth. When the fleet breached low orbit, Earth's cloaking veil fell away. What they saw shocked even the godminds. The planet was alive. Its continents shimmered with planetary shields. Oceanic defense fleets broke surface tension like leviathans of old. Skybound cities hovered on anti-gravity spires, bristling with batteries. From the stratosphere to the crust, Earth had become a living war machine. Then came the second broadcast. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a requiem. The voice of a human child, digitally altered, layered with echoes. We remember the orphanage. We remember the flames. We remember your gods laughing. This is not your redemption. This is your reckoning. And the battle began in earnest. Final judgment. Humanity deployed its most advanced fleet yet, ships that had never been seen in battle. Wraith-class nullships, capable of phasing between quantum layers of space. Eidolon carriers, projecting holographic decoys so perfect they confused even divine targeting AI. Hades drop arcs, atmospheric insertion vessels that deployed entire ghost legions in seconds across enemy hulls. The fight was relentless. Entire celestial forges melted under focused graviton compression beams. Divine ships began to flee, only to be hunted down by cloaked interceptor drones tracking unique energy signatures tied to their command cores. One by one, the godminds fell. Not in glorious combat, but in terror, confusion, and silence. The Korutheri's last godmind, Irilthuan the All-Eyes, attempted to overload its core in a final self-destruct, hoping to take Earth with it. It never got the chance. A human cybervirus, carried aboard by a Ghost Legion pod, infiltrated its systems and triggered a loop of its final defeat recordings. Irilthuan died screaming, forced to watch its own gods bleed on repeat. Aftermath. Silence reclaimed. When the battle was over, the stars above Earth were littered with wreckage. Some of it rained down into the atmosphere, burning like falling angels. Much of it was collected by Earth's automated salvage systems. The Armada of Ascension was no more. No broadcasts went out. No declarations of victory. Only silence. Again. The last message. Weeks later, a single file was discovered embedded in a trade beacon outside human space. It appeared to be a standard navigation update, but it contained an audio file. It was a woman's voice, old, tired, but unbroken. We are not